A parallel world is a reality that seems to exist at the same time as ours, but is separate from it. Events happen there in their own way. Sometimes they can differ from our world by some small details, or resemble ours in almost everything. But there are times when the boundaries of the worlds break and uninvited guests appear in our world. Or we become such guests. Today, we will look at 6 unique cases when parallel worlds crossed. The Vanished Bride. There was a strange case in Italy once. A young bride was getting ready for her wedding. There were lots of problems along the way, and when all the preparations were done and it was almost time for the ceremony, the bride decided to lie down in her bedroom to rest. She was wearing her wedding dress and festive veil, and she enjoyed looking at them again. The bride was woken by some strange noises in her dream. She immediately woke up and felt a slight shiver run down her spine. She saw a strange man standing in front of her bed. He looked like a dwarf from children's fairy tales. His face was greenish in color, and his cheeks were very sunken. The stranger's eyes were closed for some reason. The girl was so shocked that she closed her eyes too. She then opened them again and looked around. When she opened her eyes, she was pretty much out of it. The strange dwarf opened his eyes at the same time, and the whole bedroom of the bride was bathed in a bright green light. It was like 2 bright green spotlights shining in the darkness of the night. From all this, the bride soon lost consciousness and didn't remember anything else. From what her mother remembers, she wanted to go into the bedroom to help get ready for the wedding, but the door was locked from the inside, and her daughter didn't respond to her mother's requests to open the door. After waiting for a while and sensing something was wrong, the parents broke the door lock. Then they saw only an empty room. The bride had disappeared without a trace. The planned holiday was quickly replaced by a call to the police, who were searching for the mysteriously missing girl. But even the police couldn't explain this mysterious disappearance. They checked all the windows and doors and concluded that they had not been opened. No foreign fingerprints were found either. The wedding was disrupted, the groom was in a panic, and all the relatives of the allegedly runaway bride were upset. Everyone was pretty concerned. Her parents reached out to all her friends and acquaintances. It had been 2 days, and the house was in mourning. The parents were sitting in the kitchen early in the morning, going through various options for their daughter's disappearance. Suddenly, it seemed to them as if someone was walking in the apartment. The front door was locked, and no one was home but them. They looked around at each other and went to look at the apartment. When they opened their daughter's bedroom, the mother fainted, and the father was stunned and pale at the sight. On the bed sat their daughter, sweetly pulling up and yawning. Seeing her parents in such a terrible state, the girl rushed to their aid. After a while, when everyone finally came to their senses, they sat hugging their daughter for a long time, as if afraid that she might disappear again. The bride told them her story about the strange dwarf who had visited her the night before the wedding. Unfortunately, however, she couldn't remember anything else. To be honest, when she woke up, she thought it was just a dream. She had no idea that her absence had taken so long. The incident spread all over the city. Later, various paranormal researchers came to the bride's house, but they couldn't find any evidence of paranormal activity in the apartment. A little later, the amazing case was explained by the existence of many parallel worlds that exist in space and sometimes touch each other. The Husband from the Afterlife. 1978, a psychiatric clinic in Switzerland admitted Brigitte Dex, whose last name is unknown. The woman was convinced her husband was dead, even though he was alive and healthy, and even the father of her future child. According to Brigitte, her husband died in an automobile accident recently. What was her shock when she came home from work and saw him at home again? Walter is the name of the husband. He's perplexed because his wife thinks he's a ghost. He had actually been in a car accident shortly before. He only suffered minor injuries. His wife, on the other hand, said she remembers perfectly well how she was informed of Walter's death and described in great detail his funeral. Both Walter and Brigitte had to undergo a comprehensive psychiatric examination, but it showed that there were no abnormalities in the couple. The only odd thing was that they gave different accounts of recent events. Some people think that both men are telling the truth, but they might have been in another dimension. An amazing hunting story. On October 25, 1974, a guy named Robert went hunting in the forest. To be honest, the hunt didn't go well. He spent the whole day wandering through the woods, and it didn't look like he'd find any good prey. It was about 4 p.m. when suddenly Robert came across a huge bison standing about 100 feet away from him. The excited hunter raised his gun and took aim. The man took a shot, and then everything happened in slow motion. The bullet traveled about 50 feet and hit the ground softly. The hunter was shocked, but when he came to his senses, he was shocked again. Not far away from him, Robert saw something that resembled a spaceship from sci-fi movies. Next to the ship were some amazing creatures. Not thinking long, they approached the hunter, and one of the creatures asked him how he was feeling. Robert woke up in the hospital, where he was taken by a forest guard patrol. As it turned out, he had been missing for 4 days, and the patrol found him wandering the highway, unconscious. If you're interested in hearing more stories about disappearances and parallel universes, just subscribe to the channel, and I'll release part 2 when I get enough subscribers. Let's get on with it. Fighter pilot. This story was told by a fighter pilot in the Royal English Air Force. It's based on his own words. This incident happened to me in June 1942. Our squadron was based in the turf on the Libyan coast. We were patrolling the Lebanese Sea that day. My partner Finney Clark's engine went bad. The technicians couldn't fix it right away, so I was sent out alone. There wasn't a cloud in the sky, and the sun was shining brightly. Then I saw something that I had to wipe the glasses off. On my left, about half a mile away, I saw a sailing ship. It was small and graceful, not at all like the natives. It had a big square sail with oars foaming up the sides. I had never seen anything like it in my life, so I started to descend a little to get a closer look at the ship. I was pretty blown away. On the deck, there were a bunch of stooped, bearded guys in long white robes. They looked in my direction and threatened with raised fists. 2 huge human eyes were painted on either side of the ship's bow. The airplane's engine stalled, so I put it into planning mode, hoping to make it to shore. But luckily the engine started again, and I gained altitude and was once again above the strange craft. Now the oars were stationary, and there were more people on deck. Everyone was looking at me and pointing their fingers. I decided to make them raise the flag. I turned around, caught the ship in my crosshairs, turned a little to the side and pulled the machine gun. Smoke trails streaked forward and bullets foamed the strip of water next to the ship. But there was no response other than waving arms. Then I decided to attack the ship, but this time the weapon failed and the mysterious ship suddenly disappeared. It's interesting that a week later, partner Finney Clark died. He was able to report to the base that he'd attacked an enemy sailing ship just before he died. The connection was cut off. But did Clark really die? It's possible that the mystery ship formed a physical hole from our world to another parallel world. If the plane tried to get close to the ship, it could have slipped into that hole and stayed there forever. The hole closed, and radio contact was cut off. One day, 3 boys went for a walk in the forest. While wading through dry bushes, one of the boys fell, and as it seemed to him at the time, rolled down somewhere. When he got up, he saw that he was no longer in the forest, but on a vast wheat field, and it should be noted that the wheat was as tall as a man, and on the field itself, a lonely giant tree towered over everything. The boy didn't know what was going on, so he started running back and forth, until he realized something incredible had happened. He didn't know what to do, he just laid down on the ground and cried. Then a man who was surprisingly very tall called him. The giant pointed to a barely visible path in the wheat. The scared boy ran along it and found himself in the forest again. The truth is that he found himself in a completely different place. The hero of this story told his story to the members of the Commission on Anomalies many years later. This case is definitely a transfer from one world to another. Apes from another world. There are lots of interesting and mysterious things in our world. Another example of creatures from other dimensions entering our world was found in the African jungle. People were intrigued by strange, huge monkeys that didn't seem to fit into any of the existing species of primates on Earth. In general, these creatures look quite unusual. the torso of a gorilla, the head of a chimpanzee. The length of the foot is not less than 15 inches, and they reach 6.5 feet in height. They sleep standing up and only during the day. Their diet is also unusual for apes. But the creepiest thing is that, like wolves, the mysterious apes like to howl at the moon. Some biologists think these creatures might be the result of mutations in some terrestrial primates. We'll only know for sure once we analyze their DNA. So far, though, scientists haven't been able to get a single representative of the giant apes. These creatures are so aggressive that they attack even large predators. Local hunters won't track the lion killers. They've dubbed these mysterious giants lion killers. Who knows, maybe these strangers have been thrown to us from neighboring unrecognized worlds. While modern science is working out the theory of the multiverse, similar cases occur in different parts of our planet, and perhaps somewhere even right now. Scientists don't have a specific explanation for these incidents. It seems like we're still a long way from understanding these phenomena. Please leave your comments, and if you liked it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.